Before we begin, a quick note. This video explores shadow work, which can bring up past trauma or difficult emotions. If you feel overwhelmed, please take breaks or seek support. Let's dive in with care. Deep in the arid heart of Arrakis, Paul Atreides confronted a hidden part of himself, a shadowy abyss brimming with fear, ambition, and untapped power. What if facing this darkness could transform your relationships, just as it did for Paul and Chani in Dune? Welcome to the Seraphim, where stories from film and series, Jungian psychology, and esoteric wisdom collide. We'll uncover how the shadow archetype shapes your relationships and how to harness its energy for deeper connection. Just as Paul's crippling fear of his destiny strained his bond with Chani, what's a fear that's strained yours? Can you face it? What is a shadow archetype? Carl Jung called it the dark side of your personality. The fears, desires, and impulses you bury because they feel forbidden. It's a force with powerful energy. Jung wrote in 1953, "Imagine a locked chest in your mind, heavy with shame, guilt, and untapped potential." Jung said it's not all bad. It holds qualities that could bring more life to your existence. But society forbids them. There are two types, personal and collective. Your personal shadow might be a gnawing fear of failure, the kind that whispers doubt in the dead of night. As Anne Casement notes, ever felt that sharp sting of rejection? That's your shadow speaking. The collective shadow runs deeper. Think of the Harkonnens in Dune, their insatiable greed, a mirror of society's unchecked power, much like Jung saw in Nazi Germany. Many of us have experienced societal pressures that create a Harkonnen-like dynamic in our relationships. Maybe the pressure to always be perfect that makes you judge your partner unfairly. But here's the hope. Facing your shadow can set you free. In Dune, Paul's paralyzing fear of power nearly destroys him. Will he conquer it? Picture Paul Atreides on Arrakis. Visions of a future as the Kwisatz Haderach, a messiah destined to lead the Fremen, yet unleash galactic war. Torment him. In Dune, he confesses, his voice trembling, "I'm afraid of the power I'm awakening." This suffocating fear of his own potential forms his shadow, a heavy burden he's buried beneath the rigid discipline of House Atreides. When he meets Chani, a Fremen woman whose desert wisdom embodies the anima, his intuitive spiritual side, he's drawn to her fierce strength, yet feels a pang of threat. Their love begins in the crucible of their relationship, the Nigredo stage of alchemy. Paul's shadow erupts during Chani's spice orgy, a sacred Fremen rite where the spice concoction awakens ancestral memories. The air thick with the scent of cinnamon and the hum of ancient voices. He pulls away, his voice icy. Your ways are primitive, but it's not Chani. It's Paul's dread of the primal power within himself, the same power the spice ignites. His rejection mirrors a universal struggle, pushing away what we can't face in ourselves. Like Paul, have you ever dismissed something your partner said or did because it touched on a fear you didn't want to face? Maybe you called them too dramatic when you were afraid of your own emotions. Let's explore your shadow, just as Paul did through the spice on Arrakis. In Dune, spice reveals hidden truths. Let's use that idea to uncover your own. It's a common human tendency to hide fears that shape how we see our partners. Grab a pen and draw a locked chest. Imagine what's inside. Is it a fear of failure? like Paul's fear of his destiny. Think of a specific moment where you projected a fear, like Paul did when he called Chani primitive. Maybe you snapped at your partner for being too emotional because you were too scared of your own feelings. Or perhaps you accused a friend of being too needy when you feared your own loneliness. Here's how to start. Reflect on a recent argument. Did you blame someone for something that might be about you? Write down that fear you've hidden. Jung said, the less your shadow is part of your conscious life, the darker it becomes. Share that fear with us in the comments. What's in your chest and how did it feel to draw it? Let's face the crucible of our relationships, the Negredo stage, together and turn our darkness into growth. What if your shadow is a guide, not a foe, as it is for Paul? In Dune, the shadow weaves into the film's tapestry of destiny. Paul's dread of power mirrors his struggle to wield it in a universe torn by light and shadow. Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Facing your darkness can forge a deeper bond. What happens when Paul's dread of destiny collides with Chani's love? How can you see your relationship struggle as a crucible, a fierce but sacred fire for growth? Like Paul and Chani's, stay with us for the next stage of their alchemical journey. Everything feels perfect with your partner until it doesn't. Their flaws ignite, too distant, too stubborn. But what if it's not them? It's your shadow. Many of us have experienced this, blaming our partner for something that's really about us. In Dune, Paul projects his gnawing fear of power onto Chani, sparking conflict in the depths of their conflict, the Negredo stage. Do you feel that tension in your own relationships? Let's dive into the darkness. Can it lead to growth? Jung believed we project our shadow onto others. Projection isolates you, he wrote in 1959. It builds walls, not bridges in relationships. What does that mean? Your shadow holds traits you've hidden, like fear of failure. Deny them and you'll see them in others. Maria Anna Van Driel lists 7 behaviors of projection: judging others harshly, pointing out our flaws in them, quick temper, playing the victim, stepping on others' hidden biases, and a messiah complex. In Dune, Paul's messiah complex makes him judge Chani's Fremen ways as too primitive. That's his shadow speaking. In the depths of conflict, this darkness surfaces. Relationships amplify it. Your partner will trigger every unhealed wound in your unconscious. Ever blamed your partner for something that's really about you? In the 1970s, scapegoat experiments showed we project flaws to avoid facing them. Here's how to spot them and stop it. First, notice when you're quick to judge. Does their flaw feel personal? Second, ask yourself, is this something I'm afraid of in myself? Third, talk to your partner. Share your fear and listen to their perspective. But be aware, overdoing shadow work can lead to spiritual gaslighting. That is, blaming yourself for everything. Balance matters. Let's return to Paul and Chani in the depths of their conflict, the Negredo stage. Paul, haunted by visions of his violent destiny, accuses Chani of being primitive during a Fremen ritual. His voice sharp with judgment, "Your ways will lead us to ruin." He's not just criticizing her. He's projecting his suffocating terror of the power he's about to wield. The dread of becoming the Kwisatz Haderach, a figure of immense control, is so overwhelming that it taints how he sees Chani's fierce strength. Her Fremen ways, her deep connection to the desert, Her reliance on the spice to see the future mirror the primal, uncontrollable power Paul fears in himself. The same power of the sandworms of Arrakis embody, their scales glinting like molten copper under the twin moons. This projection sparks conflict. Paul pulls away, his voice trembling with anguish as he tells Chani, "I can't trust your visions." Chani, her heart pierced, responds, "You fear what you don't understand." Her words cut deep, reflecting Dune's theme of power and its cost. Paul's dread of his destiny blinds him to Chani's wisdom, just as we often blind ourselves to our partner's truth when our shadow takes over. I once did this. I called a partner too reckless, but I was really scared of my own impulsiveness. It's part of the human condition. Have you ever dismissed your partner's perspective like Paul did? Because it triggered a fear within you. Maybe you called them too clingy when you were afraid of your own need for closeness. Let's face your shadow like Paul did with Chani in Dune. The Fremen used the spice to see hidden truths. Let's use that as a metaphor for your own reflection. This is a universal struggle, projecting our fears onto those we love. Close your eyes and picture a desert. A cracked mirror stands before you, shimmering with spice-like flecks. What do you see? Is it a fear you've projected onto someone close? Maybe you see control like Paul saw in Chani's rituals. Perhaps you judged your partner for being too independent when you were scared of your own need for freedom. Or maybe you told a parent they were too strict when you feared your own lack of discipline. Here's how to face it. First, identify the fear in the mirror. What is it? Second, recall a moment you projected it. How did it feel? Third, journal. What trait do I judge in someone that I've hidden in myself? Share your vision in the comments. What did your mirror show you, and how did it feel to face it? Let's face the crucible of our relationships, the Negredo stage, together. What if your conflicts are a crucible of growth, a fierce forge of power and destiny? As Dune reveals, Paul's struggle with his shadow echoes the film's question, can power be wielded without ruin? Facing your shadow can weave a deeper love. What happens when Paul and Chani face their darkness together? How can you see your struggles as a sacred fire like theirs to grow closer? You faced your shadow. Now what? In Dune, Paul and Chani enter a season of clarity and healing, also called the albedo stage, purifying their love through self-awareness and empathy. Many of us have longed for this, a chance to feel secure, understood, whole in our relationships. That's the power of shadow work. Are you ready to transform your connections? Let's see how Paul and Chani do it. Integrating your shadow means facing it and growing. Jung referred to this as becoming your true self. In Dune, Paul and Chani move from the depths of conflict, the Negredo stage, to a season of clarity, the albedo stage, then to a time of sacred union, the rubedo stage. An article lists the benefits: self-awareness, healing, better relationships, creativity, empowerment, and less projection. Know your triggers and you'll respond, not react. Here's how to do it. First, reflect on your shadow. What fears have you faced? Second, practice empathy. Listen to your partner without judgment. Third, communicate. Share your insights and grow together. Alicia Gilbert says, shadow work helps you heal trauma, communicate better, feel empathy, break cycles. Paul's acceptance of his power lets him empathize with Chani's Fremen ways. We all have shadows, Gilbert adds, but not everyone sees them. Seeing yours makes you kinder. Johanna Fawkes notes it reduces projection, fostering ethical awareness. But some psychologists say Jung's shadow lacks proof, yet its value shines in shadow work practices. Paul and Chani reach a season of clarity, a turning point in their love. Through a spice trance, a Fremen ritual where the spice melange opens the mind to truth. The air heavy with the scent of cinnamon and the glow of ancestral light. Paul faces his shadow. He sees his gnawing fear of power isn't weakness, but a strength to unite the Fremen against the Emperor's tyranny. This self-awareness lets him embrace Chani's desert life. In a tender moment, he tells her, his voice soft with awe, "I see you now. The desert is your strength as the spice is mine." Chani, her eyes shimmering with warmth, replies, "We are stronger together." Their words reflect Dune's theme of good versus evil. Paul's acceptance of his shadow allows him to wield power for good, not destruction. With Chani as his equal, here's how they did it. Paul reflected on his fear, listened to Chani's perspective, and shared his realization, building a deeper bond. In a time of sacred union, the rubido stage, their love becomes a partnership. Paul as the Kwisatz Haderach, Chani his partner in destiny, their bond a shield against the chaos of Arrakis. The sandworms circling like guardians under a crimson dawn. I too once feared rejection, and found it let me truly hear my partner, not just react. This is a universal longing to feel whole with someone we love. What fear could you face to grow closer to your partner like Paul and Chani did? Let's integrate your shadow with a guided meditation inspired by Paul and Chani's spice trance. In Dune, the spice opens up the mind to truth. Let's use that to open up your heart. Many of us have experienced this, seeing your partner's strengths as threats because of your own fears. Close your eyes and imagine standing on Arrakis with your partner. Feel the warm sand, the desert wind. A golden light glows between you, shimmering with spice-like flecks. Let it grow. Let it grow brighter and brighter. Does it reveal a fear? Is it a fear of rejection, like Paul's fear of his destiny? Pause for 10 seconds. Imagine there's complete silence, nothing but the ambient desert wind. Hold that image. Hold for 10 seconds. Now, open your eyes and journal. What fear did I see in the golden light? And how can I empathize with my partner's perspective to heal it? Think of a time when you saw someone's strength as a threat, like Paul saw Chani's desert wisdom. Maybe you felt threatened by your partner's confidence because you fear your own vulnerability, or perhaps you envied a co-worker's success because you doubt your own worth. Here's how to shift that perspective. First, acknowledge the fear. Name it. Second, see their strength as a gift. How does it complement you? Third, talk to them. Share your fear and build understanding together. Share your insights in the comments. What fear did the light show you? And how will you use it to build connection? Let's create a time of sacred union, the rubido stage, together. What if true love begins with embracing your shadow, as Paul and Chani discovered in Dune? Their union whispers a fragile hope that power, when met with love, can heal, not destroy. Shadow work is your path to wholeness, a journey we all share. Share your journey in the comments. Subscribe for more insights from film, psychology, and esoteric wisdom.